Hi guys, so Alex Belfield, who's a Brexiteer, has some exclusive news regarding a WhatsApp message from Boris Johnson. So let's hear what he had to say.
Evening Chunky, only me. A world exclusive tonight. A private WhatsApp message sent by Prime Minister Boris Johnson. He says he's going to vindicate the people. Don't you worry about that.
Wow, okay, so it would be nice to know who the message was sent to. How did you receive it? How did you get access to it? Did somebody send it to you? Did it forward it to you? And would it be possible to see it? Because it would be interesting to see if it's actually from Boris Johnson. Because I'm not criticizing Alex here, but perhaps somebody who sent it to him, I don't know, made it up themselves. It'd be nice to see it so we can check it.
On January 1st, we are going to get a WTO agreement. That's the Australian deal.
So did Boris Johnson say we're going to get a WTO agreement? That's the Australian deal? Or is that you saying it? Because a WTO agreement, what is a WTO agreement? I've never heard of a WTO agreement. I've heard of WTO terms. That's you negotiate, you trade with other countries on those terms. But I've never heard of a WTO agreement. You don't is an agreement with the WTO to trade on WTO terms. Is there such a thing? Look, I'm not an expert on this, but I've never heard of a WTO agreement, and that's the Australian deal. Now, if Boris Johnson said the Australian deal, I'm concerned. If Alex says the Australian deal, then I can understand, because there is no Australian deal. How many times do we have to say this? Australia and the European Union have agreements. Now, I'm not being obtuse when I say this. There is a difference between a deal and an agreement. Okay, the European Union and Australia don't have a trade deal. They would like to have a trade deal. That is why at the moment, both of them are negotiating a trade deal. They're taking their time because they want to have a good deal. They don't want something quick and dirty. They want to have a comprehensive trade deal. That's why they're negotiating at the moment. That's why they're not happy with the current terms that they have. And when Boris Johnson says, I want an Australian-style deal, he's lying to the public because it doesn't exist. It's like saying, I want a unicorn.
That means no deal for Brexit.
No deal for Brexit. Okay.
Evening Mush, only me. Some breaking news tonight then. We've just been sent a private WhatsApp message sent by...
What do you mean? We've been sent... Okay, by whom? Can we see it?
Boris Johnson this evening confirming that it is no deal for Europe. It is Brexit all the way and a WTO, World Trade Organization deal coming January.
He keeps saying deal. But can you explain how it's a deal? A WTO deal. World Trade Organization deal. Like, how is it a deal? I don't understand what he means. Okay, sorry, I'm just repeating myself, but I still don't understand. I wish he would explain what a WTO deal is.
January 1st. Never fear, folks. We will vindicate the people in full, or else, Boris Johnson said in a private WhatsApp message tonight. The Prime Minister continues, as I've said many times, we will begin the new year with WTO terms, the World Trade Organization. So what is WTO? Well,
So what is WTO? Okay, finally, we're going to hear what WTO is and maybe what WTO terms are. Sorry, let me just go back so you can say.
Is WTO? Well, basically, it's not a deal with Europe. It means...
What is a cat? It's not a dog. What are WTO terms? It's not dealing with Europe. Okay, you've told me what it's not. Can you please tell me what it is?
Means that the terms that we agree will be sought through the WTO. You see, on the...
So they be sought... Let me hear what he had to say again.
Agree will be sought through the WTO. You see, on the 31st...
Agreements will be sought through the WTO. No, that's not what the WTO is.
of January, when we left Europe, we basically went into Heathrow Airport, we checked our bags in, we got on the plane, we Brexited. We were excited to take off from Heathrow, but since then, we've been circling around the airfield, just riding around in circles, trying to get to the actual runway to take off. Well, the takeoff point is January the 1st, and it seems to me, because of their ludicrous notion, that we will have to effectively...
Okay, so what you're trying to create an analogy that doesn't make sense. You're saying that, okay, we on January, at the end of January this year, we got on the airplane, we're leaving the airport, but instead of actually taking off, we just went round and round. No, you did leave. You left the European Union. You Brexited, as you said. What this is about a trade deal, because unfortunately in the withdrawal agreement, it doesn't talk about trade. It talks about, for example, Northern Ireland, the position of Northern Ireland after the UK has left the European Union. You have left. The withdrawal agreement, as I said, covered many, many different areas, one being, for example, Northern Ireland. So whether there be a border in the Irish Sea or on the island of Ireland, that has already been worked out. The withdrawal agreement is not... I know Boris Johnson tried to sell the withdrawal agreement as a deal, getting Brexit done. Brexit will not be talked about from January 2020. That was a lie, of course, because anyone who's been following Brexit understands that the easy part was done. The more difficult part, and this, once again, I have to say this, I'm sorry for Alex, I'm sorry for Brexiteers, but you're not going to hear the end of the UK's relationship with Europe in January. It's going to continue because there are many areas that are still outstanding. The UK and the EU will negotiate on many issues over the next number of months and years, because there are many things that you deal with because of the geographic location. We are neighbours. That's why it's necessary to negotiate on issues that connect us. We can't put all of these things into a trade deal. We can't put all of these things into the withdrawal agreement. Do Brexiteers not understand this? I understand that they want to turn the UK into some sort of hermit nation, but the vast majority of people in the UK don't want that. You want to be able to get on a plane and fly to Spain, for example, and not have to have a visa. You want to be able to go to France and buy some cigarettes or wine and bring them back. You want to be able to have your strawberries or your tomatoes in winter. But these things have to be imported. You don't want to pay extra for these things. I assume you don't want to pay extra.
Sell our house, we go, bye-bye, we're off now, and then when you've sold it, you get your money, you say, well, I want to keep the back bedroom. That's what Europe have done to us. They've said we want to keep the rights that are ours with fishing, for example, as small as that is relatively. It's very important. How can you leave the party and still be there at the same time?
What is he talking about? We sold the house and then they want to keep the back bedroom. That's like the European... We sold it. Do you understand that the UK has international agreements? Like, for example, when it comes to fishing and things like this, and I've talked about this before, fishing is not just something that we hold all the fish. These are our fish. They're not your fish. Fish move around the sea. Okay, I'm sorry if this is news to Alex, but fish move around the sea. Fish move from one area to the other. These stocks have to be protected. There have to be agreements on this. It's very simplistic language and simplistic ideology here.
These are things that are untenable for Boris Johnson and also for the British people. They voted Brexit, and Brexit we will do.
What do you mean we will do? You have left. You've already Brexited. You even said it in your analogy earlier. You said, we Brexited, we got on the plane and we left the airport.
So the WTO is the way to go. The World Trade Organization will do the deal on our behalf, if you like.
The WTO will do the deal on our behalf. Sorry, I just have to repeat these things because I need some time to have it marinate in my mind. The WTO will do the terms. So what happened to sovereignty? I thought it was all about we need to take back control so we can do the deals for ourselves, because we don't want the European Union doing deals for us, because the European Union are able to get really good deals. We don't want good deals. We want our own deals. Even if they're terrible, even if they're worse, we want our own deals. So what we're going to do now is hand over responsibility to the WTO. You understand that the WTO are unelected bureaucrats. You don't, I'm not sure where Alex lives, but wherever he does, I'm not sure he understands that he doesn't get to vote who's in the WTO. Okay. Now, when the UK was a member of the European Union, you had elections for the European Parliament and you could vote. You actually had a very more democratic way of voting. You had proportional representation, not first past the post. So when you were voting in the European elections, your vote was more valuable. It counted for more. You actually voted for people. When they're members of the WTO, you don't vote for the members of the WTO, the leadership. They're unelected bureaucrats. So Alex was talking also in the past about we need to, take back control. We don't want unelected, I'm not sure if he used the word unelected bureaucrats, but many Brexiteers use the term unelected bureaucrats. Even Nigel Farage used the term unelected bureaucrats. And so now you're going to hand over power to unelected bureaucrats and you're taking back control.
They will work as mediators to get the deal done.
The WTO don't work as mediators. I think he has a lack of understanding of the WTO.
Simple way of looking at it. Obviously, I'm no scientist when it comes to Brexit.
Okay, and neither am I. Although I don't know if there's Brexit is a science. Brexit would be an insane science if it was. Why are you saying things if you don't know them? Like, you can speculate. Say, maybe this is how it works. And I generally say, like, this is how I think things work. And I ask people in the comment section, look, if I say something stupid, please do correct me. So I can learn something. But I don't say things like a WTO deal or the WTO will mediate on our behalf.
But seemingly neither are they who are at the top of the chain. They seem as confused as we are. They seemingly are as confused as we are. How is it possible that we left Europe on January 31st, but come mid-December, we're still in the same mess, having an argy-bargy and a mass debate about the terms of how we leave?
Not the terms on how you leave. That was the withdrawal agreement. Alex is not making any sense here. He said, we've left, and now we're having an argy-bargy on how we leave. Now, maybe he misspoke here, okay? That's perfectly acceptable. But if you left, then you can't have a disagreement on how you leave. It doesn't make any logical sense. Okay. But what he's talking about here is, yes, we've left, and we're still talking about Brexit. We're still talking about the EU. Why is that the case? I wanted to stop talking about Brexit. We left, and we're still dealing with the EU. Yeah, because you trade with the EU. I'm sorry. Boris Johnson lied to you. Boris Johnson told you that Brexit would be done. Boris Johnson said you won't need to talk about Brexit anymore. Boris Johnson said, I have a deal. That was the withdrawal agreement, which is not a trade deal. Boris Johnson once again lied to people, and I wish people would understand this. Please, Brexiteers, Boris Johnson lied to you. He told you he had a trade deal. He said, I have an oven-ready deal. At the time I said, this is not a deal, this is the withdrawal agreement. There is a difference between an agreement and a deal. Now he's trying to negotiate a deal. Trying is a big word. But he doesn't have a deal yet. There is the withdrawal agreement and there is a trade deal. They're two separate things. Now, Boris Johnson is trying to push also the idea that once we have a deal, we won't be talking about Brexit anymore. Once we leave the transition period, we can forget about Europe. This is another lie. Because the relationship with Europe is going to continue because you are a neighbour of Europe. Please. I know Brexiteers are going to be angry in January because, wait a minute, we're still talking to the EU. Why is that the case? Why are we sending people over to Brussels to negotiate things? I thought we left. I thought we had a trade deal. I'm sorry, and this is a spoiler for 2021, you're going to be negotiating with the European Union for the next number of months and years. It's not over. I know Brexiteers will be angry with that, but that's facts of life. I'm telling you now, you will be negotiating many different issues because there are so many different issues that remain to be negotiated. Trade, security, healthcare, Erasmus, for example, is one area. Education, internet security, insurance, science, all sorts of areas, energy, all sorts of areas that need to be negotiated. And each of these areas have subcategories that need to be negotiated. So please take this away. If you can take this from this video. I'm sorry that Alex is trying to sell you the idea that Brexit is done. Boris Johnson is going to vindicate himself, and we won't hear about Brexit anymore. We've left, and that's it. No, you have left, but that's not it. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot. I want to say a big thank you to all of my patrons. You ensure that this channel continues to exist. I'm eternally grateful for all of your support. If you join Patreon, you will receive instant access to our Discord server, where we have both audio and video chats. You can chat with me and other patrons, where we discuss important and non-important issues. Becoming a patron per month costs about the same as a large coffee, so why not check it out?